3 years have flown by. I feel like my life is in a completely different spot than it was the last time I was with you, Cody and Justin. But since we last talked, I quit my W-2 teaching job. I jumped full force into real estate. Now I'm top 1% agent in Mass, Connecticut, and Rhode Island for helping people buy and sell houses. I have expanded my own rental portfolio, now owning 7 properties, 14 doors. I have also been working on an Airbnb management company with Cody, so we could jump
Let's
into that,
go.
talk about that too. And my cleaning business is still in effect, still growing exponentially, and I'm living the life. I'm 7.5 months pregnant at the moment right now too, growing a human and just trying to figure everything out day by day.
Well, that's a heck of an update. That's a lot. Like you said, a lot has happened in 3 years. And,
Yes.
I think let's dive into the growth on the realtor front. I mean, for those who may not be familiar, but I think most people kind of understand that, you need to take some coursework, then you can become a realtor. It's not like a huge amount of background that you have to go through to become a realtor. So like, what makes you different? Like what sets you apart? What allows you to be that top 1%?
Oh my gosh. So that's a great question, Justin. I would say I think my teaching background really led me into being a top realtor that I am today. I remember being back in my 7th grade classroom and I was sitting there thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I have 7th graders in front of me. I have clients texting me about their biggest asset that they're looking to buy and sell. And this, one, is not fair to my students. And 2, this is not fair to my clients. So I remember sitting in that classroom saying, I have to make a jump. I have to make a decision. And I remember it was September, and I told my principal in September that I was not going to come back after Christmas break. But to answer Justin's question, I think my teaching background really sets me apart from other agents because I like to say now I don't teach 7th graders English anymore, but I teach adults on how to buy and sell houses, which is a different approach. And it's very hand holding for clients, no matter what they're looking for, what their expertise is, whole 9 yards.
And as a client of yours, a very happy client of yours, I think one thing you do really, really well is over communicate. Like you're constantly texting morning updates. You're like, hey, just did this. We have an open house this weekend. I just blasted this out to my email list. Like I have never had someone who has been a service provider of mine go to those levels of communication and just kind of being on the ball. Because I feel like a lot of times you just don't see that. People are, oh, yeah, I'll get to that tomorrow or whatever. I'll send you a weekly update. And you're like, I'm getting an email or a text from you at 5:30 in the morning with some update about a property that we're selling or that we're buying. It's insane, but it's why you're where you are today.
Right. No, communication is definitely key. I always like to have everything out prior to people asking. If I'm not giving them information before they ask, I'm doing something wrong. So communication is definitely key. And for all of the listeners out there, Cody and I have known each other for a very, very long time. And back
18
when
years, right?
18, holy moly, we're old, Cody. Yeah,
Yeah, I
about
know.
18 years. And back when I first got my license in 2020, COVID year, Cody reached out to me and he took a leap of faith working with me because when agents first get licensed, a lot of people shy away from working with them because, to be honest, you have no idea what you're doing when you first start, just like with anything in life. And Cody took he took a jumped leap of faith of working with me. And now fast forward 4 years down the line, we're still working together. We actually have one of his lake houses listed right now, if anybody's looking for a lake house in Charlton, Mass. But Cody has seen me from literally day one into real estate into where I am today. So it's been a crazy ride. And thank you, Cody, for your support and your loyalty for the
Of
past 4
course.
years.
Of course.
I was thinking like one thing that could be a helpful, tangible tip for those that are listening, if they find themselves looking to work with a realtor in the future, which a lot of people will. Obviously, you're being very successful. Like you're finding a lot of matchmaking between the house and the person. And so I always think like, how does someone help you do your job? Like, what is it that the clients can do to make sure that they're making it more likely that they're going to have a successful sale or purchase?
That's a great question. I think it depends on what side we're on. So when we're selling real estate, we're either helping people buy or we're helping people sell. But let's start on the buy side. Just open, clear communication of what you are looking for. Like, yes, we play matchmakers, but if you are in the market and working with an agent, I think it's extremely helpful to be upfront and honest of what you're looking for, the timeline that you're looking, and to the extent of being ready or not. Like, yes, I check MLS, realtor.com, Zillow 3 times a day looking, but it also helps when clients send things along like, Brooke, did you see this? It just went live 30 minutes ago. I have interest in it. Because then it sends signals through my brain saying, okay, Justin's really ready to buy. I'm not pushing. I'm not a salesy person. Real estate is the business of, working with people, solving problems, what they're looking for. So when a buyer is ready, willing, and able, and you express that to your agent on the buy side, that makes it easier. On the sell side, I would definitely say having realistic expectations of what properties one will sell for, getting your property ready for the market the best way possible, and just listening to your realtor's advice, because believe it or not, most of them do know what they're doing and they do it on a regular basis. So I would say those are the big takeaways from either the buy side or the sell side.
Just to fluff your feathers a bit and pump up your stats, do you have, I know you're big into like vision boards and kind of keeping track of stuff. Do you have, whether it's total deal volume or total number of houses sold from 2021, back when we first interviewed you, to
Yes.
now in 2024?
Cody, that's so funny that you asked me that, because I literally have all of the numbers right here that I
Oh my
look at
gosh.
on a regular
Perfect.
basis. I did not write this down for the podcast. I just have it here to remind myself, where I came, where I'm going, where I
In
am
what
now.
form? I'm just curious, because I'm sure a lot of people, realtor or not, can take this into like vision boarding, manifesting, figuring out what their next goal is. Is it just literally on a piece of paper in front of you?
Oh my God. Hold on one second. Ready?
Can
Let
you
me just
show it?
move. Yeah, you're going to die. One
YouTube
second.
people, get ready.
I am not the most beautiful, creative human being. I am marketing people for that. However, I have a piece of paper where I
Wow.
wrote down where I started in 2020 to where I am, where I was at 4 years to where I am now. And just looking at the growth is a reminder to me and to my followers, other agents who look up to me, that success doesn't happen overnight. It wasn't 2020 and I was like, I'm going to be this massive realtor, blow up, have other people, read my story, whole 9 yards. I was just starting out. So I think that's crazy. But in 2020, which was a COVID year, remember, I was still teaching. I sold 8 houses, which equated to $2.2 million in real estate sales.
Okay.
For the record, the average real estate sales for an agent a year is between 8 and 10. Okay, so just keep that in your head. So that was year one. Year two, I doubled it. I went from 8 houses to 16 houses, $5.1 million worth of real estate, which I thought was massive at the time. I'm like, holy moly, I've doubled. This is great. Life is amazing. And then it was not until year three when I jumped into this full time where the line just kept going up. And in year three, 2022, I sold 48 houses. So I went from 16 houses to 48 houses,
That's huge.
which equated to $20.5 million. And I'm like, this is doable. This is scalable. And myself, I have a very addictive personality, which is really good that I turn it to business. But I was like, I can do better. There's no going back. There's only going forward. And in year four, last year, I sold 63 houses, which equated to $33 million worth of real estate. Just a wild journey. And then there is no going back. So now I'm on year 5 and my goal is 40 million. And I'm on my way there. I'm about just shy of 20 million now. So second half of the year is going to be a big push to hit 40. But as long as I go over 33, I count that as a win.
And is what's pushing you just kind of like a personal pride thing, or is there like actually like financial goals that you're like, if I can do this, then that means this can happen? Like if A is true, then B can be true. Like do you have that kind of goal, or is it just as much as possible, let's take over the world?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm the most competitive person that I personally know. Cody knows that back from basketball camp in like seventh and
Yeah.
eighth grade. Like, I don't lose. And even if I did, it was because Cody cheated. But just super competitive with myself. And the team that I surround myself with on a regular basis, like, they are animals. Some of them are bigger and better than I am. And I just watch them and I'm like, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it, and it just pushes me to new heights. But Justin, to go back to your question, I think financially it changes things a little bit too. I From 2020 to 2024 now, like, my lifestyle itself has changed, but I've been able to set myself and my family, future family, up for financial freedom. Like, I could stop today if I wanted to and have enough money. I could retire today and be fine for the rest of my life with my little boy on the way. But there's just something about growing and continuously becoming better, no matter what the avenue is, that I am addicted to.
So I think there's a lot of tactical things that you do that you might not even realize that you do. And I think a lot of our listeners, real estate agents or aspiring real estate agents or not, can take into their own businesses, into their own profession. So let's just start with one. And I think this is probably one of the most important things in real estate is networking. Take this in any direction that you see fit, but you're a fantastic networker. You have a massive network of
Right.
pretty much everyone related to real estate: lenders, buyers, sellers, contractors. Like, you have the gamut. You have everybody within your Rolodex. So, how do you think about networking, and how did you get good at networking? Like, do you have a framework that other people can tear a page out of and use in their playbook?
Oh, a great question. I think your network is your net worth, no matter where it is. And believe it or not, I'm a very actually introverted person.
What?
Yes, like, deep down, sometimes even going on podcasts, doing things like that, it's a tad bit out of my comfort zone. But you just have to do it. And that's where the growth comes from. Putting yourself in situations that, you're not necessarily super excited to go be the name face in front of everybody like that, but putting yourself out there. Social media is massive. And when I first started a few years ago, I just had like a few thousand followers. Now I believe I'm up to 25,000 followers. And daily, sometimes to me it's almost a little bit cringy. It's almost a little bit cringy. My mom's leaving. Sorry, I'm watching her out the window walk by. She helps me with laundry to catch everything up. She's an angel. But it can be a little bit cringy to post yourself, post your journey, post your statistics day after day. But by doing that, it, one, grows your network, it grows your net worth, it grows other people looking at you, watching your journey, wanting to do what you're doing. It grows your clientele, whole nine yards. So putting yourself out there goes with that, and surrounding yourself with like minded people. If you hang out with five millionaires and you follow what they're doing to a degree, you're going to be the sixth. If you're hanging out with five bums, you're going to be the sixth bum. It just, like, who you're with matters. And I think in the past few years, I've really learned that, and it's taken my whole life, career, everything to the next level. And to go off of that, sorry, but to go off of that, I think teams themselves are so important. Like, I have my people no matter what I need, for attorneys, lenders, inspectors, clients, whatever that is. I have a person for that, and I'm very loyal to those people. And I think it comes back to me tenfold.
Well, I think another thing that, regardless of somebody's background, like Cody said, whether they're trying to be a realtor or a realtor or not, that could be interesting is, like, you seem like a very naturally driven person, like a very, like, that just kind of comes to you, like, where you want to be the best, you want to push. But I'm kind of curious, like, what kind of work maybe you do from like a self improvement, like, to kind of continue to make sure that you are getting better. Because I know, like, for me, I'm a little bit, like, Leslie jokingly calls me like a sloth. Like, I travel and I pack a lot into my day, but I'm not the most driven on like the business front. And I'll be the first to admit that. Like, there's a lot more I could do in the world, but like, I'm good.
Right.
So I'm curious, like, what is it that, like, what is it that maybe you're doing on top of just being naturally driven to continue to, like, evolve?
That's a great question. I think it goes back to my competitive nature, and no matter what I do, I strive to be the absolute best at it. So, like when I got into real estate, I'm like, I'm not going to settle for average. I'm going to become the absolute best in it, best that I could possibly be in it. And I believe it. Am I the best agent out there in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island? Honestly, probably not, but I believe it and I radiate that out to all of my people who then believe it too, which I think that the confidence, that mindset power will go a long way no matter what you're doing, what you're trying to do. Um, but you are right. It is kind of like innate. It is natural. Like if I have a day off and I'm not doing anything, I'm like, I didn't make money today. I didn't grow today. I didn't do something to have my future self thank me for. And that's just a big part of who I am. There is no off button. And as I'm getting very closer to having a baby, this is real. It's hitting me like, holy moly, my life is about to change. Let's put all of these systems and everything in place. So when that does happen, I'm still on autopilot. I'm still moving ahead going forward.
Something I think you've done incredibly well, just hopping back to networking for a second, and you kind of hinted at this, but you didn't say it explicitly, is that you're just saying what you're doing. And so people associate you with real estate. Like I remember even back in the beginning when you were just doing a couple of deals, you're posting on every single social media platform like 3 times a day about this client that you're representing, or you're just posting something about your day. You're like driving around talking about how you're going to this listing or whatever. And I think just over time, even though you're not salesy, you're just letting people know what you're doing. And so people start to gravitate toward you because they start to associate you with that thing. And I don't think enough people do that. Like they might post here and there and they might think, like, yeah, oh yeah, everybody knows that I do X, Y, and Z thing. But until they're seeing it 3 times a day and it's like really getting drilled into their skull, like Brooke is a realtor. She's the best. She's all about real estate. She's always buying and selling houses. 5 years
Right.
later, when they're ready to buy or sell, you're the first person that comes to mind. So just kind of a random aside, but I think it's something that not enough people do and you do fantastically.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. And that makes me feel good hearing that because, it is repetitive. Things you post your day, you try to make it look natural. I never want to come off as salesy ever. I want to help people achieve their goals, whatever those goals are. And I'm your advisor to go off of that. But I also think going off of that, just being true and being natural goes a long way. And like, I'm willing to share stories of, not everything's glorious, not everything's beautiful. You get told no. Things like that happen. It's not just as easy as pie. Um, I'll be willing to share a quick story if you'd like to hear one of these.
That's what podcasts are for.
Okay, I have two that I'd like to share. So I was working with a very big investor, and she was amazing, and she was jumping in full force, purchasing all of these properties, whole 9 yards. We had an amazing relationship, not just on the not just on the buying and selling side, but family side. I knew her family, she knew mine, whole 9 yards, everything like that. And everything was going amazing, purchased a lot. She might have jumped in a tad bit over her head with all of the properties that she was doing instead of, going one by one, learning each time before going on the market. And there was this one house, and I've never not sold a house in my career ever. Like everything always sells within the time frame that I'm allotted. But there was this one house that would not sell because of price. We've got offers. My client would not accept the offer, whole 9 yards. And we were coming up on 1 year, which is a long time to be even in a contract for with a realtor. And we had a call planned. And I knew going into that call that there was a likelihood that I was going to be fired. I've never been fired before in my life. So I go into this phone call and I'm fired. And it's not something I am used to hearing. I take it personally when something's not selling. It's like, why? What can I possibly be doing more, better, whole 9 yards? So I was fired. Okay, great. Took that a little hard because it was the first fire ever. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, I get a phone call and it's from a bank. And the bank calls me and they said, the client that you'd been working with has actually been foreclosed upon on every single property. And we would like you to turn around and resell these properties for face value so that they will actually sell realistic numbers. So I went from being fired, thinking like my world was falling apart. Brooke, you suck as an agent for like 2 weeks. Totally killed my confidence just for a little bit, to then having the bank call me and turn around and resell all of those properties for numbers that actually people were going to purchase them at. So it came totally full circle. And now I have a great relationship with that bank that I keep happy on a regular basis. So I get all of their foreclosures. So I say open every single door that you possibly can. Some are going to close, but they'll open more and more will come from it. So that's one story. It's not glamorous. I was fired. I took it hard. And then it ended up working out in my favor anyway.
Well, and I think with something like that, you can probably look back on it and realize, like, hopefully that was validating to see it wasn't me. It was like the client was, asking for kind of unrealistic things, and
Right.
no one was going to sell that house.
Right. Correct. But it's still it comes down to like, what did I do wrong not to be able to sell it? You know what I mean? You do take things personally, and it's business.
So to go from, was it 8 properties in that first year to 63 properties last year, those numbers right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Checking the piece of
Had to
paper. I'm
look.
like, I think I
I
got
had
them
to
in my
look.
head here. So that's 8xing your output in 3 or 4 years. That's insanity. Other than just the gradual growth of people knowing about you, and like I was just saying, you're constantly posting about real estate. I'm sure your network of buyers and sellers is just growing day after day after day. Are there any big things that you changed, like the way that you operate, the way that you network, the way that you negotiate, the way that you list things? I'm not sure even the right questions to ask here, but like, is there a reason other than just your client base expanding why you went from 8 to 63?
I think that I realized it was attainable, and I was able to put my foot on the pedal and just become nonstop, but also putting systems in place. Like every single day, I'm getting better and growing at this. Like when Cody and I sat down, which we'll talk about in a little bit about She Closes Deals, which is something amazing coming or already out there. I did not have systems in place to be able to talk about, how I do what I do. So I was able to put all of these systems in place for other people to replicate, which had been able to 10x my business by doing that. Does that make sense? I think the systems that you actually set up help you 10x your business.
That's the exact answer I was looking for. Something you've mentioned actually a couple times here now was just knowing things are possible. It's almost like, it almost sounds woo woo, like manifesting, or, I know that I can hit this goal. But it sounds like goal setting is a huge part of your success. I mean, you have your goal sheet literally right in front of you by accident while we were recording this.
Yes.
Can you give our listeners a framework for goal setting? Like, do you just set an end of year goal? I know you're like, oh, I want to hit 40 million this year. Is it just that big overarching goal, or do you have like micro goals every week, every month that you hit to then hit that bigger goal at the end of the year?
Yeah, great question. I have daily goals, I have weekly goals, I have monthly goals, quarter goals, and then a year goal. And then people ask me all the time, Brooke, what does the next 5 years look like? And I'm like, holy moly, I don't want to look past like the next 3 months type of ordeal because it changes all of the time. Like looking back 3 years ago, I would not have any idea that this is where I'd be now. So talking about 5 years down the line, I'm like, that's way way too far to have a total plan in place like that. But I think setting small goals will allow you to hit your bigger goals down the line. And I think that's important. And I'm learning the importance of celebrating every small win, and then you can look at what's next. But take time to realize, holy moly, I've come so far, whatever that far is for you, celebrate it, and then on to the next thing.
Yes, taking some time to celebrate your wins is definitely something I don't think enough people do. It's always like now you're kind of already looking forward. I'm curious with the goal setting, do you exclusively do that for kind of like the business side of your life, or do you also like do things like that on a more personal front, like from a, like self work versus just on the business side?
I would say most of it's business. But I am a relatively healthy person. I enjoy exercising when I'm not 7.5 months pregnant. Um, now I'm about to start growing a family, so I'm having that mindset in the back of my mind and how I'm going to raise my son and everything like that. The values I want to instill in him, whole 9 yards. I enjoy reading. I enjoy family, traveling, everything like that. But my brain, now I'm actually realizing this sitting here talking to you guys, my brain is extremely business focused. And I think that the business end also helps me on the personal end because of just the growth that happens, um, that goes off of it. But being a top agent, running multiple companies, it can be a lot. And I found myself, something I do to, calm myself down, work on myself, whole 9 yards, is meditation. Whether that's, taking a few minutes out of the day, putting on meditation music, just to take my brain, which is way up here, back down here, take a breather, remember to breathe. Sometimes, like, Brooke, remember to breathe. You have so much going on, like, take a breather, remember to breathe. But it's in those moments that I'm like, okay, take a step back, realize how much you've done. Like, you're okay. Everything is fine. Your plate's full, but you can handle it. You can handle anything.
So talking about habits and routines, I actually love when Tim Ferriss does this on his podcast, is kind of just breaking down a day or a week of one of his guests who's super successful and who has had outside success. Could you maybe just walk us through like a day or a week? Like, I know you mentioned setting these micro goals. What does that actually look like? I don't know if you have that in front of you as well, but like, what are some of these inputs that you're trying to hit every week as a real estate agent?
Okay, that's great. Every day, every week is different. Like this morning before this podcast, my mom and my sister came over, which is amazing, and my little niece. But that's not an everyday type of ordeal. But I really work on three things on the business end of things. I work on my current deals, keeping all of those alive. I work on my future deals, bringing in clients, and then I work on my past deals as well. So, like, three big circles that I hit on a regular basis to keep my business going. But I wake up very early. I wake up at about 5 a.m. Cody gets texts and emails from me that early. But I like that time because nobody else is awake yet. So my phone's not going to be blowing up at 5 a.m. I can get so much done laying in bed next to my husband and my dog before anybody else is awake. So I wake up nice and early. I'll check in on all my deals, which, like, right now I have 15 under contract. That's a lot of deals to keep track of. So I'll check in on all of my deals. I'll wake up, I'll have some breakfast, take my dog for a walk. That's one of my favorite parts of the day itself. And then typically my day is filled with appointments, whether that be inspections, appraisals, listing appointments, showings, whole 9 yards. So I'll do all of those. I just hired an assistant, which was the best thing I could have ever done. So it allows me to be in more than one place at the same time, which is fantastic. Then I come back home, clean up the dinner that my husband makes because I'm not the cook in the family. um, Come back home to recheck in on all my deals. See, everything is very businessy. This is crazy. I'm like, I don't do anything fun. And then by the time I'm ready for bed, read a book, scroll on TikTok, go to bed, and I do it again. It's a crazy routine. It's busy from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed, but it's filled with work that entire time.
So I know you said earlier that you don't necessarily like, it's hard for you to even think like 5 years from now. I'm just kind of focused on the quarter in front of me. But especially with, a kid coming on the way, do you feel like that you're wanting to start to turn the dial, at least in the direction of saying, I want to have a goal that I have less and less of my own personal hours that are spent on this business, where it's not 5 a.m. till the time I go to bed. And maybe I'm running my own brokerage where I've got realtors who are handling all these appointments and I'm not in appointments. I'm just kind of giving guidance and maybe like course correcting, and I can start to step away? Or do you feel like, no, I want to just stay fully submersed in this, and I want I want the 16-hour days, and I just want to keep that rolling.
I don't think that's necessarily sustainable for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I do love the idea. I mean, I passed my broker's test. I love the brokerage that I'm at now. I'm creating this community of She Closes deals for other agents to be able to follow in my footsteps. The goal will be to have a team underneath me that, yes, everybody's following what I've done, but they're able to make their own business off of that. And they're out there buying and selling because leads come in from my right side, my left side, multiple times a day. And right now, like I am the one handling all of them. But I'm learning the importance of having a team and maybe how much further and bigger we can grow and expand with having talented other people underneath me. So yes, in 5 years, Justin, I think I would like to have a team underneath me, growing that team, instilling the confidence of and helping other people change their lives. Like my life has changed drastically. I would love to help other people do just that and pull out all of their special things that they don't might not even realize that they have that sets apart them from other agents, and growing their business. Because I'd love a nice Cape house and to be able to do all of this from the beach side, instead of being on the road 16 hours a day. So yes, that vision is definitely there. When, I can't tell you, but it's in the back of my mind. Yes.
So what is your assistant helping with right now? Like, what are some of the first things that you started to outsource? I'm sure it's going to get more and more, as you just alluded to, but what are some of the things that she's starting to take over?
Well, she's taking, I have a marketing assistant. So I guess I have two, but I have a marketing assistant who handles all making everything pretty. That's not my forte. I wish it was, but I'm not very creative when it comes to, like Canva and social media posts and everything like that. So my marketing girl handles that. My emails, she handles all of my emails, my listings and stuff that come out with the houses and beautifies everything for me. And then I have an assistant who's boots on the ground now. And actually, she just started me last last week. And I'm taking her alongside with everything I'm doing right now, which I was like, holy moly, this is actually a lot. But just so she can learn. And I'm telling her, like, right now, she's newer in real estate, which is great. But I'm like, right now, you're an extension of me. And you're going to take these next 6 months, as long as you like it and don't leave me, and you're going to soak everything in. And then hopefully at those end of those 6 months, like you are ready to take your business and go and fly and do it on your own. But right now, she's just alongside with me for everything that I do, learning how I do it, um, to be able to help me, one, when I'm out of commission for a few days, weeks with the baby, but also to help grow her experience and her business. But we'll have a great relationship doing that because it takes a mentor. I have a mentor, and now I'm mentoring other people. So you always need somebody to look up to. But she does go to appointments with me. Eventually, I would love her to do all of like my showings, the inspections, appraisals, everything like that to allow me to maybe be a little bit more behind the scenes and have her more on boots on the ground running around.
And I think that'll be interesting. And maybe you have already like started to feel some of that and learn, like as someone who is accustomed to being very much like in control of the entire situation, start to finish, and very hands on, like
Yes.
how to allow yourself to kind of step away and to give trust over to someone else is it seems like maybe the main way you're doing that is by being there alongside them, seeing them shadow, making sure you can watch them do it the proper way. And that way you can feel confident, kind of maybe taking a step back.
Yes, if you haven't already got the hint, I am definitely a control freak. But I'm learning to step back at that. And actually, this past weekend, I just listed a massive farm. It's altogether over 90 acres. It's two farmhouses, an apple orchard, a buildable lot, and we had this massive open house. And there were so many people there, and my assistant was there. I also had other people from my network there, lenders, insurance agents, whole nine yards. And I took a step back and I was just listening to my assistant, who is younger. She's about to be 23. She's just jumping into real estate. And I'm like, wow, like she has already in 1 week come so far. And she was so confident. I'm like, yes, I'm doing something right. Whether she had all of the statistics perfect or not, but she was confident. And I was like, and people gravitate towards confidence. So I was very happy to have watched even just a week how much she's grown in that.
Well, speaking of teaching other people to do what you do and all the lessons and strategies and tactics that you use to become a $100 million plus agent at this point, let's talk about She Closes Deals. And super excited that we were able to kind of team up in some capacities on this. You wrote the book, She Closes Deals. We're helping you with the book launch.
Yeah.
Eventually, course and community coming on the way, but you got it right in front of you for those on YouTube. Check it out.
Yes.
Let's talk about She Closes Deals. Like, what was even the inspiration for starting something like this? Like, I'm guessing you have agents all the time who are reaching out on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're Facebook, wherever you're putting out info. Like, hey, I'm just getting started. Can you please help? And I'll just let you take it from
Yes.
there. I feel like, what do you even say to those people? I feel like that's probably the genesis for this whole thing.
Oh my, honestly, Cody, yes. Like the amount of people, even in my brokerage, just on social media, who would reach out and say, hey, I'm new, would love for you to mentor me, whole 9 yards. And in the beginning, I thought I was superwoman and thought I could do this. Like I can help her, I can help her, I can help him all individually. Until one day, some mastermind, maybe named Cody Berman, uh, threw out this wonderful idea because he's so good behind the scenes of building courses and everything like that. And he was like, Brooke, how about we take your expertise and knowledge and put it in a course for other people to learn from? And after he mentioned that to me, I'm like, that's absolutely brilliant because everybody who reaches out will now be able to have access to everything that I do, have learned, lessons, um, responses to text messages, situations at their fingertips. Agents would literally send me screenshots of their conversations and say, Brooke, how do I respond to this? And as much as I love to help absolutely everybody, that's a lot, especially when you're doing your own deals. So we created She Closes Deals, and we're talking about my journey from how I went from zero to over 100 million in sales, but also the strategies that I use to grow my business. A whole 9 yards, my day to day, how to negotiate, everything like that. Scripts from every single transaction, updates that you need right there at your fingertips. So, and it's all in this book, She Closes Deals. It's on my Instagram and it's also at sheclosesdeals.com. But it's just a blueprint of how I've become a top 1% agent. And I'm sure that many other people will be able to 10x their business by reading and following and then going off on their own route after learning what worked for me.
Well, congrats on the book launch. I know I'm sure that was a ton of work adding onto the plate that you already have, and as an expecting mother, and selling all these deals that you're already selling. But as for somebody who's like out there thinking about getting this book and wondering like, is this a fit for me? Do you say, hey, no matter where you're at in your realty journey, this is good, even if you're just starting out? Do you feel like, hey, maybe get in 6 months or under your belt and figure out some things before you jump into this? Like, how would you position this book? Like, who's a good fit?
That's a great question. And I actually just reread it for like the fourth time last week. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, this book is amazing. This book is it really, it could be for anybody, but I would think more of on the beginning side. You want to jump into real estate, you really don't know where to start. This is the perfect place for you. You are an agent doing 10 to 20 deals a year, and you want to expand from that 10 to 20 to 50. This is a book for you. And I think Cody's going to be like, holy moly, Brooke, maybe slow your roll. But I think you could even make a sequel of this book. Like, okay, you're a top agent. You are selling 30 plus houses a year. 30 plus houses. That's half of what I'm doing right now. How do I then take that 30 and make it to 60, to 70? Because this book will get you started. It will be everything that you need to do to get your feet wet, to grow your business. Grow your social network, whole 9 yards. But then there's so many other intricate things that you could learn and use at the next level. So my brain's already spinning about that, Cody. Are you excited?
You never turn it off, Brooke. Seven
I
and a half
know.
months pregnant and thinking about a sequel and new business ideas. I love it. I
Oh,
love it. I'm a huge
gosh.
fan.
Thank you.
So one thing I actually meant to ask about earlier when I was talking about routine, and actually this is a perfect time to ask, is about time management. Because I know a lot of people who start as a realtor, a real estate agent, most people aren't just starting like fresh out of high school, fresh out of college. They don't have anything else going on. Like you started this, you are also a teacher, you also own a
Right.
cleaning company. Like, how do you compartmentalize your day to make sure that you had enough time for, in this case, becoming a real estate agent? But I think this lesson can translate into whatever someone else might want to do as a side hustle.
Yeah, I think it's so important not to be just busy to be busy.
Okay.
Everything that you're doing, make sure it's actually going to help you. You're not just doing it as busy work type of ordeal. And when I first started as an agent, I was not just an agent, like Cody said. I was a teacher. So I had supplement income. And if you're in the real estate world, whole nine yards, you want to get started as an agent, you are going to spend so much time and money before you actually make money. So before I jumped all in, I waited until I had a significant amount of deals lined up, knowing that I was going to have income coming in. So I do tell agents all the time who are just wanting to get into the field, like, don't quit your day job until, unless you have more fun somewhere else, but don't quit your day job until real estate is making you money, because you could be working with a client for a year before they realize that they're going to buy, and you don't get paid till they close. So I think time management off of that is important too, but just blocking off chunks of your day, having goals written down of, okay, this is what I need to accomplish today, and not killing yourself on those, but giving yourself a little bit of time to complete them. But tasks per day, time management, not wasting time, a whole nine yards. And in the real estate field, you drive so much. I would say that's like the biggest con, because it's hard to work when you drive.
Listen to podcasts like ours.
Listen to podcasts like you guys. Yes. And learn and grow and take more information in. But just making a schedule, don't be busy just to be busy, I would say, helps me.
Yeah. I definitely love the concept of, like because you already talked about your goal setting and making like the micro goals, which lead to the bigger goals. And then can you honestly look yourself in the mirror at the actions you're taking and see how there's a direct connection between the actions that you're taking and those goals is, I feel like, always a good litmus test. I know that, you seem very career oriented, career driven. So you maybe don't have a lot of time for like junk content, but is a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe this is kind of a bonus question. I can't help myself. There's so many of these new like reality shows that are about realtors, like the Selling Sunset and Selling Brooklyn. And Leslie
Yes.
loves those shows. I would just be curious, A, if you've watched them, and B, if there's like okay, some of this is actually like legit in some of these high firms, and this is like absolute ridiculousness.
That's so funny that you just asked that, Justin, because as you were starting that, I was like, is he going to ask me what TV shows I watch? And I'm going to say The Bachelor. But yes, so on Netflix they have so many different real estate related shows, and I do think those shows are leading to a boom in the industry, because it's, everybody's like, oh, I want to do that. It looks amazing and fun, and like you get to dress up every day, see pretty houses, drive pretty cars. Um, some of them are definitely just drama and fun, but you can learn from them. And actually, Owning Manhattan. Have you guys heard or watched that
That's with
one?
Ryan
Yeah.
Serhant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was did you guys watch that?
No,
I've seen
I
some
just
of it.
know him from
Some of it.
Instagram.
Okay. That was the best series that I've watched probably in my entire life.
Wow.
Related
Okay.
to real estate, because it wasn't just about the drama, the pretty houses, but it was about building a brand, building your brand, and how important that is, and making it about like you, yourself, your brand, not necessarily working for somebody else, but building your own brand, which then leads back to the She Closes Deals. But how important that is in the business world, especially the real estate world, because I can be Brooke Coughlin, She Closes Deals, no matter what brokerage I'm working for, no matter if I'm working for Burns, which I currently am, no matter if I start my own brokerage, She Closes Deals. Like, your brand, you can go anywhere with. And I just thought it was super eye-opening watching that. And Ryan Serhant has built an empire,
Yeah.
empire that people across the country, across the world, like, follow his journey and have trust in this man that they've never met before in their entire life. So I feel like shows like that, I would highly recommend watching it, but very beneficial to career and building a business.
So is Selling Central Massachusetts the next big sitcom starring Brooke
Oh,
Coughlin?
I would love nothing more than to have a TV series. Maybe one day, but that's not in the works right now.
I know we've talked about that before, and what's the other show you like Flip or Flop?
Oh, God,
One of those flip
all of them.
shows.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the HGTV houses, and Cody and I actually co-own with our spouses an Airbnb management company, which is amazing, and that's a whole different segment probably. But we call ourselves Small Town Big Dreams. That's our group chat
That's our
name.
group chat name, yeah.
Yes, but it's that in itself could be a series of owning short-term rentals.
Lots of ideas.
We just need to be on TV.
There you go. Well, Brooke, it sounds like you have very busy days every day. So I'm so thankful that you came on and gave us some time. One more time for those that are listening, where would you like to kind of direct people for both to follow along with your story as well as get a copy of the book?
Okay, awesome. Well, She Closes Deals. You can find this at sheclosesdeals.com. It's also linked in my Instagram, which is Brooke E. Coughlin. That's my biggest platform. I try on TikTok. I'm not that good on TikTok. But definitely Instagram, Brooke E. Coughlin, sheclosesdeals.com.
Awesome. Well, Brooke, it's been a pleasure to have you on after a long 3 years and a lot of success. And I got to say, as a friend, it's been cool to watch you progress over these past couple of years from you just becoming an agent to remember when I closed on my first house in Connecticut? You weren't even licensed in Connecticut yet. So we had to co-broker, or yeah, I don't even know what the term is. I had to use another agent and you like split the commission with her. And then we started working together after that once you get but it's been a long journey, Brooke. So it's been really cool to kind of sit in the passenger seat and just watch you grind and become the $100 million deals woman you are today. So congrats.
Thank
It's
you.
been awesome.
Thank you, Cody. And I appreciate your friendship. And I know we've been talking about like mentors and people that you look up to. And Cody, since day one, you've always been that for me. So just
I'm not
know
paying
that.
her, guys. I'm not paying Brooke to say this.
I know. But Cody, he's a brilliant mastermind and he brings up everybody who he's around. So, Cody, for that, thank you.
Thank you, Brooke.